Madame Kamaru gasped as if struck. "You wouldn't dare," she hissed. Daniel's voice was calm, too calm. "Try me." A hush fell over the hall. Aisha held his sleeve gently. "Daniel, please don't fight your family because of me." Daniel looked at her, hurt that she didn't understand. "Aisha, I'm not fighting for you. I'm fighting because what they're doing is wrong." Aisha's tears streamed faster. Madame Kamaru pointed angrily. "You don't know her. She lied. She kept secrets." Daniel exhaled deeply. "Mom, everyone has a past, but only cowards use it to destroy someone." Gasps. Meanwhile, Musa stepped forward again, smirking. "Ah, how sweet, but love won't erase what she did." Daniel turned to him sharply. "And you won't erase the truth." Musa scoffed. "What truth?" Daniel stepped closer, face inches from Musa's. "You didn't come here for justice. You came here to embarrass her because she rejected you." Musa's smirk stiffened. "You think she left because she was scared of you? No, she—" Aisha suddenly shouted, "Stop!" Her voice echoed through the hall. Everyone turned. Aisha wiped her tears. Her breathing steadied. If she didn't speak now, she might lose everything. She looked at Musa with a courage even she didn't know she had. "Fine, you want the truth?" She looked at Daniel. "I will tell you everything." The hall went silent. Aisha stepped into the center, her dress trembling with her body, her voice soft but steady. 2 years ago, I was homeless. My aunt was sick. We had no food, no money, no bed to sleep on. Guests shifted uncomfortably. I met Musa when I was desperate. He offered help and I accepted, but I didn't know the price he wanted. Musa smirked. "Tell them, Aisha. Tell them the part where you enjoyed." Aisha shouted, "Don't you dare." Her voice cracked, but it carried power. She continued, "He tried to control my life. He kept me locked inside the house. He told me no one else would ever want me, that I owed him everything." Daniel's jaw tightened with rage. Aisha continued, tears falling. "The letter he read? I wrote it the night I escaped, but he didn't read the last line." She looked straight into Daniel's eyes. "The real last line was, 'I will never belong to a man who treats me like property.'" Gasps spread. Aunt Mariam sobbed silently. Aisha turned to Musa. "You didn't save me. You tried to own me." Musa's face twisted in anger. Aisha looked at the hall. "I hid this past not because I was guilty, but because I was ashamed I ever trusted a monster." Her voice softened. "Daniel, I did not betray you. I just didn't want my scars to ruin our future." Daniel stepped forward slowly, held her face gently, and whispered, "Aisha, your scars are proof you survived." Aisha broke down in his arms, but behind them, Madame Kamaru's eyes darkened. This battle wasn't over. The hall buzzed with whispers, but for the first time, many people looked at Aisha with sympathy, even admiration. Daniel kept his arm around her protectively, while Musa's temper began to crack. Madame Kamaru stepped forward, furious. "So what if she suffered? That doesn't erase her past. My son deserves a woman with dignity." Daniel turned to her sharply. "Mom, dignity doesn't come from money or status. Dignity comes from how you treat people." Madame Kamaru raised her chin. "Are you calling me undignified?" Daniel didn't flinch. "I'm saying you crossed a line today." Musa jumped in, desperate to regain control. "So, Daniel, you still want to marry a girl who lived in another man's house?" Daniel replied calmly, "Musa, she lived in your house because she had nowhere else to go. That makes you the predator, not her." Musa's face twisted. "You're blind, Daniel. She will ruin you." Daniel stepped forward until they were nose to nose. "The only person ruining anything today is you." The tension was suffocating. Aisha held Daniel's arm. "Please, don't let him provoke you." Daniel softened instantly, her touch calming him. The guests watched, stunned. The unwanted bride was becoming the heart of the hall. But Madame Kamaru wasn't done. She leaned close to her sisters and whispered, "If the boy won't leave her, then I'll make sure she leaves him." Her sisters nodded. A storm was coming. Just when everyone thought things would calm down, Madame Kamaru snapped her fingers, a signal. 2 guards stepped forward, carrying a small box. Daniel frowned. "What is that?" Madame Kamaru smirked. "A test. If this girl has nothing to hide, she won't fear what's inside." Aisha's stomach dropped. Even Aunt Mariam stepped anxiously forward. "What are you planning?" Madame Kamaru ignored her. She opened the box slowly, revealing a stack of photos. Printed, enlarged, taken secretly. Gasps ripped through the hall. Aisha's hand flew to her mouth. It was photos of her leaving Musa's house at night, wearing worn clothes, carrying a bag, looking frightened and alone. Madame Kamaru raised the first photo high. "A bride with this kind of past can never enter our family." Aisha's legs shook. Daniel grabbed the photos angrily. "Where did you get these?" Madame Kamaru didn't blink. "I hired someone to follow her the moment you told me her name." Daniel staggered back in shock. "You spied on her?" Madame Kamaru nodded proudly. "I protect my family." Aisha whispered, voice cracking, "You investigated me before even meeting me?" Madame Kamaru replied coldly, "Because girls like you always come with secrets." Aisha could barely breathe. The humiliation was unbearable, but Daniel held her tighter. "Mom, these photos show a woman escaping pain, not causing it." Madame Kamaru shrugged. "Believe what you want, but this wedding is over." Aisha's world shattered. Chaos erupted in the hall. Guests murmured. Phones recorded. Some supported Aisha. Others shook their heads judgmentally. Aisha felt the walls closing in. She whispered to Daniel through tears, "Maybe your mother is right. Maybe I don't belong here." Daniel immediately placed both hands on her face. "Aisha, don't let shame speak for you. You belong with me." Aisha shook her head. "But I'm ruining your family." Daniel sighed painfully. "My family ruined itself long before you arrived." Aunt Miriam stepped forward, shaking with anger. "How dare you expose a young girl like this? Do you know how much trauma she carries?" But Madame Kamaru simply replied, "Not my problem." Musa smirked from behind. "This is exactly who she is, a problem." Aisha turned to him slowly. "You hurt me once. You will not hurt me again." Musa scoffed. "And what will you do? Cry?" Aisha stepped closer, surprising everyone. "No, I will speak." Her voice grew stronger. "You want me to feel ashamed of my past, but you know what? I'm not ashamed anymore." Musa blinked. Aisha wiped her tears. "I survived you. I survived hunger. I survived nights with no roof, so I will survive this too." The hall erupted in whispers of admiration. Even some of Daniel's relatives nodded. But Madame Kamaru slammed her hand on the table. "This wedding is finished." Daniel exhaled deeply. "No, Mother, this wedding is just beginning." Daniel stood beside Aisha, but his voice was calm, deadly calm. "If this wedding ends,
I walk away from this family, forever." His words echoed like thunder. Madame Kamaru's face drained of color. "You wouldn't abandon your mother." Daniel shook his head slowly. "You abandoned me the moment you tried to ruin an innocent girl's life." Gasps again. Aisha tried to step back, overwhelmed. "Daniel, don't sacrifice your family for me." Daniel held her hand tightly. "Aisha, I'm not choosing you over them. I'm choosing right over wrong." Aisha's voice trembled. "But if you lose them, you'll regret it." Daniel smiled softly. "The only thing I'd regret is losing you." Aisha covered her face, sobbing. Across the hall, Musa clenched his teeth. He pushed forward. "This is insane. She's making you turn against your own blood." Daniel turned, eyes cold. "No, Musa. You brought chaos. You brought lies. You came to destroy." Musa's eyes opened to argue, but Daniel cut him off. "And you failed." Musa's jaw locked. His eyes darkened. Then, in a low, threatening voice, he said, "This isn't over, Aisha. If I can't have you, no one will." Daniel stepped between them instantly. "Touch her, and I'll end this peacefully or by force. You choose." Musa froze. The room fell into an eerie silence. Before anyone could react, the power in the hall suddenly flickered and went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Women screamed, phones lit up, children cried. Daniel immediately pulled Aisha close. "I'm here. I'm not letting go." Aisha clutched his shirt tightly. In the dark, footsteps echoed, fast, heavy, moving toward them. Daniel turned sharply. "Musa, is that you?" Silence. Then a chilling whisper. "I warned you." Aisha gasped. Lights suddenly flickered back on, and when they did, everyone screamed, because Musa was standing on the stage, holding something in his hand. Not a weapon, but a small USB drive. He smirked. "Let's show your perfect bride's real truth." Daniel's heart dropped. "What did you do?" Musa plugged the USB into the big screen. The hall went dead silent. Aisha's breath shattered, because on the screen was a folder named Aisha, Evidence. Aisha whispered, "Oh God, no." Daniel clenched her hand. The first video started loading. The family leaned forward. Musa smiled. "Aisha, your secrets end tonight." Daniel stood up slowly, eyes blazing. "Musa, you stole from a woman who had nothing?" Musa stepped back slightly. "That's not—" Daniel cut him off sharply. "You stole from her. You lied about her. And you humiliated her." The entire hall watched Daniel transform from calm to furious. Madame Kamaru tried to jump in. "Daniel, don't defend—" Daniel raised a hand. "No, Mom, you will not defend a man like this." Aisha shivered. Daniel turned to the hall. "Do you know what real shame is?" He pointed at Musa. "It's a man who abuses a girl with no family, no money, no protection, and then tries to destroy her again when she finally escapes." The guests murmured in shock. Musa barked back. "She came back to my door because she couldn't live without me." Aisha finally snapped. She stood up, trembling but fierce. "I came back because you had my documents. You threatened Aunt Mariam. You locked the door. You told me I would die hungry if I left." Silence. Musa's jaw tightened. Aisha continued, voice shaking. "You are not a man, Musa. You are a cage."
Daniel's family looked at each other nervously. Some even looked ashamed. But Musa clenched his fist. You think this changes anything? The world will believe me before it believes a poor, broken girl like you. Aisha whispered, I was broken, but not anymore. Daniel lifted her hand. You're not alone now. Everyone watched them, a couple standing against an entire room of judgment. But Madame Kamaru wasn't done. Oh, please, she spat. Even if Musa is trash, Aisha still lied to us. Aisha closed her eyes in pain. Daniel stepped in front of her. No, she protected herself from a monster. She owes you nothing. Madame Kamaru read to rage. This wedding will never happen. Daniel inhaled deeply. My mother. He looked at her with heartbreak. Why do you hate her so much? Madame Kamaru whispered, because she reminds me of someone I lost. Daniel froze. Aisha froze. The hall fell silent. There was more to this story.
Every eye turned toward Madame Kamaru. Even her sisters looked confused. Daniel took a step closer. What are you talking about? Who does she remind you of? For the first time, Madame Kamaru looked shaken. Her voice softened, barely. Your father. The hall gasped. Daniel blinked, stunned. My father? What does he have to do with Aisha? Madame Kamaru swallowed hard. He left me, for a girl exactly like her. Aisha froze. He left you? Daniel whispered. Madame Kamaru nodded, eyes burning with old grief. He said I was too proud, too cold, too obsessed with status. He found comfort in a simple woman, a woman from nothing. A tear escaped her eye, the first anyone had seen in years. The day he left, I swore I'd never let another simple girl destroy this family again. Daniel's heart broke. Mom, all these years you've been fighting a ghost. Aisha stepped back, guilt washing over her. Madam, I never wanted to remind you of pain. But Madame Kamaru shook her head. You are that pain. Everything about you, your humility, your silence, your background. It feels like history repeating itself. Aisha whispered, I'm not here to replace your past. I just want a future. Silence. Madame Kamaru looked torn, but her pride returned quickly. I cannot accept her. I don't care about her sob stories. Daniel finally snapped. Mom, she is not that woman, and I am not my father. Stop punishing me for something he did. Madame Kamaru looked away, breathing heavily. Suddenly, Musa stepped forward again. Oh, how touching, but this drama doesn't erase the fact that she hid her past. Daniel glared. Musa, you should be in jail. Musa smirked. And you should find a bride with fewer skeletons. Aisha flinched, but Daniel held her. She has scars, not skeletons. The hall erupted in mixed reactions. And then, something unexpected happened. An elder, Grandpa Kamaru, slowly stood up. Everyone turned. This wedding, his voice was old, shaky, must continue. Grandpa Kamaru walked to the front with his cane. People whispered in shock. He almost never spoke in public, never interfered, never chose sides. But today, he looked directly into Aisha's eyes. My child, you remind me of someone. Aisha swallowed nervously. Grandpa continued, You remind me of my mother, a humble, gentle woman who raised this entire dynasty while people like us forgot our roots. The hall fell silent. Grandpa looked around the room disappointed. What happened to this family? Since when did money become more important than humanity? Madame Kamaru stiffened. Madam, he raised a hand.
Do not interrupt me. You humiliated a young woman in front of hundreds. You tore open her wounds. You judged her for her poverty instead of admiring her strength." Tears filled Aisha's eyes. Grandpa turned to Daniel. "My boy, you made the right choice." Daniel bowed his head respectfully. Grandpa then faced the hall. "This girl survived things none of you could survive. She deserves honor, not insult." Many guests lowered their eyes in shame. Grandpa stepped beside Aisha. "If Daniel doesn't marry her, I will adopt her into this family myself." The hall erupted in shock. Madame Kamaru almost fainted. "Father, you can't be serious." But Grandpa wasn't hearing anyone. He took Aisha's trembling hand gently. "You have my blessing, child." Daniel exhaled with relief. Aisha's tears fell freely. But Musa was boiling. He stormed toward the stage. "You old man don't decide anything. I still have videos." Grandpa looked at him with surprising strength. "Young man, leave now, before I call the police for what you did to this girl." Musa froze. The hall gasped. Daniel smirked slightly. But Musa wasn't leaving without one last blow. He shouted, "You think she's innocent? You think she told you everything?" The hall tensed again. Aisha's heart dropped. "What now?" she whispered. Musa pointed at her dramatically. "Tell them about the baby." The hall exploded, and Aisha's world shattered.
Aisha's breath stopped. Her vision blurred. Daniel turned instantly, shaking. "Baby? Aisha, what is he talking about?" Aisha stumbled back, eyes wide with terror. No, he's twisting things again." Musa spread his arms dramatically. "Oh, really? Then explain why you visited the clinic the same week you ran from my house." Aisha collapsed to her knees. Whispers spread like wildfire. She was pregnant? Is it Musa's child? Did she hide a whole baby from Daniel? Aisha sobbed. Daniel knelt beside her. "Aisha, look at me. Tell me the truth." Her tears poured uncontrollably. There was no baby. There was never a baby." Musa laughed loudly. "Oh, the clinic confirmed you took a test, so tell them why." Aisha covered her face. Aunt Mariam pushed forward, enraged. "You evil boy. She was sick. She fainted from hunger and exhaustion. The doctor ran tests, all tests, because she was collapsing." Musa rolled his eyes. Convenient story. Aunt Mariam screamed, "You know the truth. You starved her. You locked her in. She fainted from fear and dehydration." The hall watched Aisha sobbing uncontrollably. Daniel gently lifted her chin. "Aisha, were you pregnant?" Aisha sobbed harder. "No, Daniel, please, I swear on my life, there was never a baby." Daniel hugged her tightly. "I believe you." Musa scoffed. "You're a fool, Daniel. This girl is chaos. She will destroy you." But Daniel stood up proudly. "No, Musa, she survived you, and that makes her stronger than this entire hall." Musa glared. Then he growled, "This isn't finished. She still hasn't told you the real reason she left my house." Daniel frowned. "What reason?" Musa pointed at Aisha coldly. "Ask her what happened the night before she ran away." Aisha froze. Her eyes filled with a new kind of fear. Aunt Mariam whispered desperately, "Don't tell them, child. You don't have to." But Musa said the words that made the hall gasp. Tell them about the night you almost died. The hall waited in shock as the last video finished. Aisha stood frozen, ashamed, embarrassed, exposed. Daniel looked at her with soft, steady eyes. Aisha, look at me. She didn't. Aisha, look at me. Tears streaming, she finally raised her head. Daniel whispered, You survived things no one in this hall could handle. Your past doesn't disgust me. It makes me respect you. Aisha broke down. Guests whispered, but now the whispers had changed. Madame Kamaru frowned. She sensed her control slipping. Daniel stepped onto the stage. Everyone saw her pain. Now you will see her courage. He held Aisha's hand high. This woman walked through fire, yet she's standing. If that makes her unworthy, then none of us deserve love. The hall fell silent. Even those who hated her couldn't argue. But in the corner, Musa's eyes burned with rage.
Musa shouted suddenly, You think this ends because you make speeches? Aisha will always be damaged goods. A loud crack echoed. Daniel had slapped him. Not out of anger, out of finality. Musa, you are done. Not just today, but in my life. Musa touched his cheek, stunned. Daniel continued, I ignored your cruelty in the past. I won't ignore it when it's aimed at the woman I love. Aisha looked up, shocked at the word love. Daniel turned to her. Yes, Aisha, I love you, and I'm not ashamed to say it in front of the world. Aisha covered her mouth, crying. For the first time, Madame Kamaru felt fear. Her son wasn't choosing a girl. He was choosing a life, different from hers. She tried one last time. Daniel, don't do this. Daniel shook his head. I already chose. The hall quieted as Madame Kamaru slowly approached Aisha. Everyone watched, expecting another insult. Instead, she stopped a few steps away. Her voice cracked for the first time. I may not like your past, but I cannot deny what I've seen today. Aisha looked at her, confused. Madame Kamaru sighed deeply. You didn't break my son. You made him stronger. Aisha's eyes softened. I never wanted to divide your family. Madame Kamaru swallowed her pride. And I never wanted to hurt you, but I did. For the first time, she bowed her head. I'm sorry. Gasps spread across the hall. Aisha hesitated, then whispered, I forgive you. Daniel exhaled in relief. Musa was the only one left burning with anger. He stormed out, but nobody followed him. With the tension finally broken, Aunt Miriam clapped her hands. Enough tears! Let the wedding begin! Drums started, dancers moved, guests cheered. Aisha stood in the center, trembling with disbelief. Daniel lifted her veil gently. No one will ever touch you, shame you, or silence you again. Aisha whispered, Why me, Daniel? You could have chosen anyone. He smiled. Because only you know how to turn pain into strength. The officiant stepped forward. Do you, Daniel Kamaru? Daniel didn't let him finish. I do. 1,000 times I do. Laughter filled the hall. And do you, Aisha? Aisha looked at Daniel, then at the warm, cheering hall. I do, with my whole heart. They sealed their vows as fireworks erupted outside. The ceremony ended. The music slowed. Guests dispersed with smiles and blessings. Aisha and Daniel stood at the gate, hand in hand. Aisha whispered, "Daniel, after everything, why didn't you let me go?" He looked at her softly. "Because God doesn't send broken people into our lives. He sends people who survived storms we can't imagine." Aisha rested her head on his shoulder. Then the narrator speaks the final lesson. A girl is never unworthy because of her past, but a family becomes unworthy when they judge a heart they never tried to understand. Money can buy weddings, but compassion builds marriages. Aisha smiled as they walked into their new life, not perfect, not rich, but full of respect. And respect is the greatest wealth.